What is up, everybody? Welcome to The Stack. I'm Alex.
I'm Justin.
I'm Pete.
And on The Stack, we talk about a bunch of books that have come out this week, and we review them. We got a big stack today, so let's get right in. Oh, yes. What's up, Pete?
I know Justin has some beef with you, but I just wanted to say, Alex, great job on The Stack, man. You know what I mean? You really curate a fun stack.
I agree.
Appreciate it.
Here's the beef I have with you. It's ribeye steak, because that's how good work you're doing, Alex. It's a positive, good. That's good beef. That's just good beef.
Great, and let's just leave it at that. I'm sure it won't come up again.
My favorite kind of... Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought we were talking about
Ultimate
ribs.
Spider-Man number 13 from Marvel, written by Jonathan Hickman, art by Marco Checchetto. There were multiple cliffhangers in the last issue, so spoilers beyond this point, where first it turned out that Peter Parker was missing and had been replaced by his, we're not calling it a symbiote suit yet, it's his Picto suit, or whatever it is, who is
very
different. Like Peter Parker. Meanwhile, Peter and Harry have been taken by Kraven the Hunter. We pick up here, they have been gone for months at this point. I think 2 months.
2 months.
Is what we find out, which is crazy. And not only that, Richard Parker, Peter's and Mary Jane's son, is inside the suit and picking up the slack as Spider-Man. So some big stuff going down here. Another fantastic issue, I thought, of this book, but what did you guys think?
I love this comic, and I just love how far away from the initial idea we are. Remember when this first came out, and it was like, oh, if Peter Parker didn't become Spider-Man, essentially, until later in life. And it was like, oh, weird alternate take. And now it's like so wild how many different things have happened. You got them on the run, his best friend, Harry, on the run in the Savage Land. It is awesome. And I think the most essential thing, though, and this is a weird idea, the time. The way the time moves in the Ultimate Universe, in this comic specifically, raises the stakes so much for me. And when it was revealed they've been gone for 2 months, I was like, this is very stressful, suddenly.
Well, I think this is Justin's Ultimate Spider-Man here. I think this is his perfect kind of thing, because what they're doing is they're yada-yadaing Peter and MJ's relationship, and we get the budding on the kind of last panel here of, I think, what's going to be the new hot relationship, and that's, Spider-Man's son with the new Black Cat. So, Justin, you get it. You get the relationship that you've always wanted here, and my favorite relationship gets pushed to the side, but at least it's happening. So super pumped about that.
You always wanted a long-distance relationship between Peter and Mary Jane, right?
Yeah. I'll take any relationship as long as it's Peter and MJ, however I can get it. So I'm also enjoying this, even though it's insane. But high stakes. This is an ultimate book. Feels like an ultimate book. They're making huge choices, big swings. So it's fun.
I just wanted to agree
art
with you, Justin, about the time dash and how stressful it is.
Yeah.
Particularly, I was thinking very hard reading this issue. What a interesting writing challenge to essentially, rather than being like, okay, we're picking up emotionally where these characters are, where we left them. No, there's an entire... sometimes like month of time that has passed between there where these characters have moved forward and experienced different things. So there's a lot more going on there. I almost feel like it's this freight train that we're reading and we're playing like catch up, and then we get to catch up for a little bit. We're running alongside it. We're like, oh, that's crazy. What's going on in that boxcar? And then we fall back again. It's awesome. Everybody gets this metaphor.
Alex uses a lot of running to catch trains, like a hobo analogies. That's how he sort of sees the world. It's like, oh, tough day. I was trying to catch up to
your little spindle
should we
and
talk
sack.
About the next can of beans in our bindle? If that's all right, I'd love to move on. Talk about
Alex was raised community theater hobo, so this is his belief system.
Yeah, I do. Most of my training, my being raised, was turning to people and being like, "Oh, didn't see you there,"
and then monologuing.
Yeah, then monologuing.
Oh, wow.
Absolute Wonder Woman number 4 from DC Comics.
There we
Kelly
go.
Thompson, art by Hayden Sherman. This issue, the Tetracide is still attacking the city. Wonder Woman consults with Etta Candy, who's sister is a witch to try to get her arm back so she can take down the Tetracide. Once again, big emotion in this issue, big action, big wild swerves and changes. Another incredible issue of this book.
Yes, agreed. This is really badass and glorious. First off, very cool cover. But yeah, this is just action-packed, and, sometimes you need a more badass sword before you go into battle. Completely understand that. Get some extra magic. Usually you don't think Wonder Woman and magic, even though she does have an invisible jet and stuff, but yeah, this is kind of...
science. That's science.
Well... Anyways, this is fun magic stuff, and sometimes you're like, I'm gonna need my arm. I'm gonna need it in battle, so you gotta magic it up. Cover yourself in blood. Hey, if Wonder Woman came up to me off the street and say, "Hey, I need your blood," I wouldn't even ask questions. I'd just be like, "You got it, Wonder Woman."
How would you do it? Would you just take a pen and jab it into your neck?
Yeah, that'd be the quickest way.
The quickest.
Yeah.
So let me just get this straight.
Pen going. You know what I mean?
Let me just get this straight. If a pretty tall, dark-haired woman wearing a tiara walked up to you tomorrow on the streets of your town and said, "I need your blood," you would literally, someone would have to stop your hand from jabbing the pen into your neck to spray blood all over.
To be clear, based on where Pete lives, this is like a wooded path. So we're having some sort of tall woodman walk out of the trees and approach you in this way.
Wow.
Yeah, for context, Pete lives inside the movie The Village. He lives in the part where they don't believe
the woods part. I live in the woods part, not where.
Yeah, he doesn't live on the other side of the fence where it's just normal.
Yeah.
He lives in the woods part.
Yeah, is that in the background? I can always hear people being like, "Thy podcast is too loud."
Yeah.
Spoilers
Podcasters go in the barn and
part.
shout at each other. That's what I call a podcast.
But anyways, back to this book. Amazing art, amazing action. This is
You were laughing. Why were you laughing, Justin?
When?
Right at the beginning of this review.
I don't remember, but I can't not think about Pete jabbing his neck. I think...
Was it because you were going to start talking and I immediately started talking?
No, I don't know. I don't remember. It's just fun. I'm having fun. I'm
much
just having fun.
Changed.
Yeah. It's a whole new world. I love this book. This book is, we've complimented every aspect of it. But I think the part, it just feels so complete. It's like such a vibe. The art, everything, it feels so different and fresh, but also whole. And that to me is hard. It's the fourth issue in. This is a whole different part of the DC universe where, the rules, I'm sure they have rules that they figured out before they launched these books, but the rules still feel like not like cooling lava, like they could change. We don't know exactly what it is. And this book just crushes every aspect of it. It's one of the best reads of the week.
Yep.
Void Rivals, number 16 from Image Comics and Skybound, written by Robert Kirkman, art by Lorenzo De Felici. In this issue, we're getting Suxoid versus Pythona.
Come on!
Big Suxoid issue. I want to put a spoiler warning here as well, because Suxoid...
Alex is going to cry?
I'm going to cry. This is one of my favorite running jokes from comics, is Robert Kirkman just like cutting in for one or two pages of Suxoid being like, I miss my wife. And that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous.
Well, it's made even more ridiculous by what happens in this issue.
That's what I was getting towards, is
I don't see what's
Suxoid kicks ass. It's a great fight scene. Lorenzo De Felici draws here. Very cool. They amp him up to Suxoid being like, no way you can beat me. I'm Suxoid, the saddest man in the galaxy. And then at the end of the fight, he gets chopped in half and dies. And I was like,
I was like, you're not going to give last words about his wife or family? I was shocked.
Yes.
I thought he was
crazy to me.
But
because clearly, he's having... I know Robert Kirkman is a guy who... he killed Rick Grimes. He shot Carl in the head. Everything that he did in Invincible, he has no bones about being like, I love this character, let's kill them off. Yeah. But at the same time, it's such a bummer because I want to like Void Rivals, but Suxoid is the one funny part.
Exactly.
And everything else is so deadly serious.
It's also the one part of it that feels like it's a thing we can signpost, or it's like it happens, and the rest of this book is hard to hold on to for me, and like especially the reveal at the end is just another Transformer. I was like, guys, aren't we out? How many more
What do
you
you
got?
mean? We haven't even scratched the surface, dude. There's so many Transformers, bro. Come on.
Yeah, I know. There was 40 years of people being like, what if it's another kind of truck? And so sure, we're gonna get more.
A lot of different kinds of cars. There's a lot of
know.
different trucks. Yeah,
There's so many things in this issue, and I don't want to lump on it too much because again, I want to like it, but like whatever the female character who has been wandering through the dark for issues now, she encountered this big ball of light, and the big ball of light at the end of the last issue is like, what do you want? And this issue she's like, oh, sorry, wrong ball of light, and keeps walking. I was like, so what about the ball of light? Why do we have to go to another place? And then same thing happens with the Cobra La, where they run into Suxoid, and they're like, we got to attack the Suxoid guy. Don't like this place. Let's leave.
Yeah.
So it's just like things keep kind of bumping into each other and then going in the opposite direction.
Also, you guys are acting like the Suxoid bit's going to be over. Probably next issue we're going to get his wife going, I miss my husband. You know what I mean? Maybe we'll get bits. So.
I would like
we'll
that.
get bits of the funeral.
Much less fun. That's tragic.
I mean? But I think this is a blast. I'm having so much fun with this. The nostalgia factor is super high. But
For
this
Void
is still
Rivals?
Yeah, this is still just a fun of like, hey, you love this old thing? Well, I'm going to update it and put some new stuff on it. I'm like, great, awesome, thank you.
Here's the thing. I would argue we haven't gotten a lot of new stuff. We have a story of.
What are you talking about? This whole Suxoid thing is all new, and finding balls of light, but not the correct ones. I mean, who can't relate to that?
Do you know what this feels like? This feels like the show that was on at 4:30. Like you have whatever was the 3:00 show, and then you have G.I. Joe and Transformers, and then you are like, oh, okay, I gotta do my homework or go to dinner or whatever. That's what this
4:30. You're saying 4:30 is the bad time slot, bro?
I know what you're talking about. There was always a show that was like sort of like a rip off of another show, and it was like on near it, but it was like, all right, I gotta go do something else. And for me, it was the Mystic Knights of Tirnanog, which is a Power Rangers rip off. And I was always like, this show doesn't make any sense, but it was there. I would watch it. What I was gonna say is, I feel like this comic just doesn't. It keeps pushing off the story. It keeps making references, but it's just never going. Everything's bumping around, but the actual bites of narrative, I just feel like we're not getting them. And I think it's like the dollar bill on a fishing line. It keeps getting pulled away, and I think we just need to grab onto something.
I don't know. I'm having a ton of fun, and I think someone wandering around in the dark and then discovering a giant transformer is a fun thing. So
that's your dream. That's your dream scenario.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
All right, well, why don't we move on and talk about a different type of robot with the Terminator number 4 from Dynamite, written by Declan Shalvey, art by Lorenzo Re. As we have been doing in this series, we're jumping around different places and time periods where the Terminators are doing unknown missions. This one is a submarine thriller with the Terminator hiding out as one of the crew members and basically wants history to stay on course here so that they blow up. I thought this was another really good issue of this book. The setting is making this whole thing feel very fresh. Yeah. And I just want to say that, I know I always say this, but great cover to this issue.
Oh, you always say that? Well, I was going to say misleading cover because this cover makes it seem like the Terminator is the submarine. And I thought, well, that's a fun twist. I haven't seen that before. And then it turns out it's just a regular Terminator on a submarine. And I was like you want
a Thomas the Tank Engine, but killing people?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, how dangerous would that be? Terminator was a nuclear submarine. That would just be awful, man. Hard to take down the Terminator submarine.
Yeah. I'll be... Yeah, this is the hunt for Red. I'll be Boktober. I think is the best way to sum it up.
Yeah, I just... other than the misleading cover, this is good stuff, great art.
Misleading cover.
It's a cool cover.
It is a cool cover, but you think Terminator's a sub.
No, you do not. Okay, whatever. Go ahead, Justin.
It's funny because is the sub is the face on the back of the sub? Because that'd be a weirder place for the face. It's the butt.
Yeah.
It's the Terminator's like pooping out the back. You know what I mean?
Right.
I also like this. I think this setting, it feels claustrophobic. It feels super contained. Again, another tense comic. I think the specificity with which they're choosing the settings for these stories has been really great uniformly in all 4 issues of this.
XMen Xavier's Secret #1 from Marvel, written by Alex Paknadel, art by Diógenes Neves. This is a collection of the Marvel Unlimited comic. I believe there were 6 issues of it that we're getting here, which basically breaks down to 2 stories that bridge the gap between Krakoa and From the Ashes. One focuses on Cyclops and Jean Grey spending one last vacation together before they split apart on their separate titles and missions. And the other one shows a little bit of what's been going on with Professor Xavier, and the way we're reading this is afterwards, but I believe at the time it introduced the character Scurvy, who played an important role in the Raid on Greymalkin crossover. Justin.
Scurvy.
Justin, what did you think about this one?
I really need, and this is just a pet peeve.
Justin,
I need Professor X to be different or better or something. This issue of him this whole issue was about, or that his story was just wallowing in his badness, and I just want that to change so badly. I liked the front story though with Cyclops and.
Oh, you did? Oh, that's nice. Oh.
Interesting. I actually like the Xavier story a little better. It was very dark. It's all about Xavier kind of messing with this journalist's head as she tries to find out what happened to him and what happened to the mutants in Krakoa. It feels a little bit like what Kieran Gillen and Casper Wingard are doing on the Power Fantasy to me, but with Xavier, and obviously there's a very clear analog going on there. But I really dug that story, even though it was dark. Pete, I assume you liked neither of these?
Oh, well, that's interesting that you say that. You know, what I did like about the first story is that Jean Grey couldn't even stand being around Scott. She was just like, oh, you are just the worst. Get me the fuck out of this relationship.
That's
and then Scott like went wandering off, and he was.
What I liked about it, not to interrupt you saying nonsense, but it was like a different type of story. Like it sort of
it talked about how they shouldn't be together and they don't really fit. And they're not.
They're sort of the opposite. They're lamenting the fact that they're not going to be together and having an emotional time with it. The other pet peeve I think is Phoenix being so powerful is also an impediment to a lot of stories with her. Even the ongoing title that's happening right now.
Why don't we move on and talk about Black Canary, Best of the Best, #3 from DC Comics, written by Tom King, art by Ryan Sook. We are getting more of the fight to determine who is the best hand-to-hand fighter in the DC universe between Lady Shiva and Black Canary. This issue, we get a flashback of her training with Batman, and the present Ted Grant, a.k.a. Wildcat, is in her corner as things start to go very wrong. I feel like a little bit of a broken record with this series, but this is some killer fight scenes from Ryan Sook. The backstory is very emotionally charged and well done, and the announcers continue to be ludicrous.
It is crazy how much they're talking. Yeah. It's fun. It's funny that is a part of this book, but this book has a lot of moving parts that are really working together. And, you know, each issue is very similarly structured. It's, like you're saying, the fight, some flashback where we're figuring out how Black Canary got here. The stuff with Green Arrow and Vandal Savage I thought was really cool. But the fact that they're able to make this not be repetitive, despite the fact that it's just Black Canary getting her ass kicked 3 issues straight, pretty intensely, and really letting the art be awesome there is, you know, it's hard to make that interesting, I think, and this book really does it.
Yeah, this is very enjoyable. I'm having a blast with this. Love the story. Love all the action. Hey, Batman just shows up, you know, that's fun. And then I love the mom and daughter stuff, and then great use of the non-factor Ollie because he sucks.
Wow, you have changed, Pete. Let's talk about Ripperland, #1 from Dark Horse Comics, written by Steve Orlando and John Harris Dunning.
Hey,
art by Alessandro Oliveri. This is kind of a complicated premise that they take a little while to get around to in the issue, but it is baked in there that essentially because of leaving the European Union, the UK is broke. The only way they can get money is by, I believe it's the United States, turning them into a Victorian-era theme park where everybody talks and acts like they're in the Victorian era, and folks come to visit them. So it's not exactly Westworld because nobody is robots, but it's kind of like Westworld adjacent. And into that, somebody starts killing people in the style of the Jack the Ripper murders. I actually really liked the way they slow played you into this premise, and it works. Like, it's a crazy premise, but they figure out a way to make it work. They give a good foil to it. So overall, I was very impressed with this first issue.
I'd love to talk to these guys about how they put this together because, like you're saying, it's a complicated idea. I think they had to slow play it to get it across without it being like just like a weird brain dump. But it feels like, did they come up with the theme park thing first? The murders, the Victorianness of it? Like it's wild. It has like early George Saunders work was obsessed with theme parks. And this feels in that vein, and the art feels very much like Beatles, like Sgt. Pepper, Yellow Submarine style art that I think really works because it feels retro but not Victorian, like British looking back. It was a cool choice, surprising, and I think it really works.
Yeah, I mean, this is awesome. This is really impressive. Artistically, it's awesome. It's a very interesting story. I mean, what comes down to Steve Orlando is a great writer and, is kicking serious butt. So when you say, Steve, I'm showing up. And then finally, when you kind of get into the kind of meats and potatoes, the murdering and the slashing, if you will, very kind of cool, interesting stuff. And so I mean, it went really long way around to kind of be like, hey, this guy just shoved a flag up this dude's ass, but I feel like it works within the story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So does it work outside of the story as well, Pete? In your opinion?
I mean, you got to get it outside. You know what I mean, so everybody can see what you're talking about. But it was
the flag up the butt is sort of the meats and potatoes of the outside.
Yeah, exactly.
Is what you're saying, right, Pete?
Yeah. I mean, I would say it was more of the parsley or the kind of accoutrement, if you will. But it's a fun choice. It's a fun addition to any dish. You know what I mean?
Let me just try to boil down what you literally just said in that review. The murders, and slashing are the meats and potatoes of the story, and the flag up going up a butt, which didn't happen.
Yeah, he did. He pulled the flag out of the. He was like,
I'd be very surprised if it's revealed the flag went in the anus.
No, it said around the colon. What does that mean? I mean, it's a nice way of saying it's up this dude's ass.
No, he was slashed open.
The flag was put in the wound.
Yeah. The wound.
Yeah, they said it was around his colon, and so
if you want to get it, I mean,
technically that means if you're going around.
You think the Jack the Ripper character in this cut the guy open, starting at like his neck all the way down to his belly, and it was like, time to go up the butt with this flag.
Well, I think it's a statement piece. You know what I mean? It's a statement, maybe about the flag.
It is a statement.
To like Bed Bath & Beyond, the place you pick up your statement pieces. Is that what you're asking for?
Well, I think you can get butt flags at any, gas station or,
Oh, sure.
A lot of commemorative butt flags.
Yeah,
I get most of my statement pieces at gas stations, so yes.
Yeah. Keep honking, the wife fell off.
Some
or
great
whatever.
food at gas stations, you know what I mean? You go to the right one.
Yeah, hot dog. You'd like an old hot dog. I can't wait for the reveal that flag. He was originally called Jack the Butt Flagger. But they changed to Ripper.
Well,
that's historically
it's
accurate.
implied with Jack the Ripper. You know what I mean? You're ripping flags out of butts.
Yeah,
you're ripping the flags out.
That's where ripping a fart comes from. It was originally ripping a flag.
Yeah, people didn't fart before then.
Not in the Victorian era.
Not out loud. No, it's a secret.
It was all internal and it came out their mouth.
Yeah. That's the meat and potatoes.
That's where originally the race of white flag meant you was farting. You know what I mean? It wasn't mean giving up. I'm just ripping some farts over.
I've never heard all of us be nonsense at the same time. And I'll tell you what, I don't know how to get back on track. We just have to keep going.
It's been going around in my head for like the past 5 minutes.
Yeah, Alex is like, how do I get back? And then someone else is just
out of
like,
this?
And that's what I think farts are. I was like, what?
Well, Godzilla, Monsterpiece Theater,
God,
number
Pete's-
3.
Oh, I thought you were doing another take. Good.
Boy, if Pete's getting us back on track, we're in big trouble. Godzilla's Monsterpiece Theater number 3. He did it.
Yes.
From IDW by Tom Scioli. This was my issue of the week. I love this book. What?
I called
Pete?
the first, bro. I called the
Now,
first.
Alex has been...
Justin jumped
I've
on
been
my
on the tag.
absolute Wonder Woman, and now you're just trying to
I've been
steal
on
my...
the tag for this book since the beginning.
Yeah, he lifted his leg on it first, Pete.
That's
So
true.
if you haven't
That's
been
true.
reading
You called
it
dibs first.
started... It's not even fair to call it like relatively grounded, but it did this amazing job in the first issue of mashing together the Great Gatsby with Godzilla and making it feel thematically like the Great Gatsby. And then it's just gone, and I say this complimentarily, off a cliff since then, to the point that this last issue, Godzilla is in Transylvania. Dracula is trying to control him. The mummy has been freed from the pyramids due to Godzilla's rampage. There's wolfmen. And who is it that brings out a Nazi Frankenstein? It's Dr. Frankenstein.
The Time.
Yeah.
Dr. Frankenstein, yeah.
Dr. Frankenstein.
Won't stay in the Times, don't you?
And I don't want to spoil it, but it ends up in a scene with a phrase that made me laugh so hard by the end of this book. It's great.
It's so much fun.
It's so fun. There's great jokes all over the place. Oh, Pete, you wanna call dibs and go in second?
No, it's all right. I was just going to say that it's just artistically impressive. The themes that it can pull off and the stories that it's telling. There's layers to it. It's enjoyable on many levels. You can just turn your brain off, and there's giant fights that are fun. You know what I mean? It's really impressive.
Yeah. Just remember to turn your brain back on before you.
Oh, that's a good. Yeah, thanks for that.
Otherwise, you might be in trouble. I love that. There's so many great jokes in this, and it's weirdly like it accelerated in its pace and a number of jokes as the series went on, to the point. And there's a great end when it comes to Gatsby and Daisy in this that I thought was really funny. And the mummy scene you mentioned earlier, everyone's like, "Oh no, the mummy! Whoever disturbs the tomb, the mummy will kill." And they're like, "Well, it wasn't us." It's got that. I thought that made me laugh so much.
Of jokes and action, it's really impressive.
Yeah, it's just a perfect bit of comic book madness, I would call it. Definitely pick it up. I assume it's coming out in trade at some point. If you didn't miss it, definitely pick it up.
Great trade read.
Great trade read. Here we go. Amazing Spider-Man number 66 from Marvel, written by Justina Ireland, art by Andrea Picardo. And Justin's been looking forward to this issue for months because Spider-Man is so sad in here. So sad. And you love it when Spider-Man is sad.
It's just mopey and sad, and he's giving up on life, and things are hard, and I'm Spider-Man.
Oh, don't be mean, because this issue is like for a cover of Black Cat and Spider-Man, like really like getting after it. Like that's a hot kissing.
You're putting a lot on that picture because in actual he was just sad and she kissed him once to cheer him up.
That's what I'm getting to. Yeah. Like this issue was it's meant to be like such a bummer, and like this is a really interesting story. Like the Zeb Wells era was such a like up and down, like people's mileage for it is all over the place and interest in it, and now they're telling like a crushing Peter Parker's will story, which it's really different. It's almost like the reverse Dan Slott of Spider-Man takes.
Pulling reverse Dan Slott.
Yeah, which is also a wrestling move. I can do it still. But this really is. I'm enjoying it, but I wish the issue was more about the cover. I wish the issue was the cover 22 times.
I gotta say, by the way, just to give a little bit of the plot, so Spider-Man has been fighting these scions of Cyttorak who challenge him in different ways. In the previous issue of this title, he was challenged by being shown the deaths of everybody he loved until he realized nothing matters on a long enough time scale. In the between, we got a 65 deaths issue that focused on Phil Coulson and showed him giving up. And here, he's just trying to understand why anybody keeps going, while Doctor Strange of the Scion tag him from a distance, and she's wondering how he was able to keep going so far, even farther than Doctor Strange was. So I gotta say, of those 3 issues I just mentioned, this one I think was far and away the best.
Yeah.
I really felt the emotion of what Spider-Man was going through, and I think Justina Ireland really dug down nicely on what makes Spider-Man a hero and eventually is going to show him the light at the end of the tunnel. So I thought that was great. And to just touch on the kiss a little bit, I actually really thought it was very sweet. The idea that Black Cat was
definitely.
like, this is something to live for, is like love. You know, and not even like, I love you, Spider-Man, but just like a little bit of that. Like, that is
It
why
seemed
we keep
like
going.
I'm trying to cheer you up kiss, which I thought was very sweet.
Yeah,
very nice.
I get those a lot from people I work with.
Oh, wow. I don't know if that's
Does
legal.
you think that's weird?
Yeah, I think that's weird. Yeah, I would.
Oh,
think
you just
HR
mentioned it, Pete.
I think HR would have a field day with whatever job you're working at. But
You need a little pick-me-up?
He's in HR. Is that a problem?
Yeah, that's not weird, right?
I think it is. I think you're abusing your power.
No, they're
all right,
kissing him.
Yeah.
Don't. That's not helping. Okay, so first off, shitty cover.
This is a
all right,
quagmire
and
of a
then-
conversation.
And then this is just a sad Spider-Man who's given up on life, which, you know, this guy gets pushed and pushed. It's, you know, I like the human choice of saying, like, Spider-Man can't always be the most hopeful, and you know what I mean? But it's sad to see somebody you know and spend a lot of time with going through a tough time, you know what I mean? And you want to just kind of shake him and be like, hey, man, snap out of it. We need you to step up because the X-Men are filling in for him, you know, and, you know, that can't be good. But my favorite part about this whole thing was we got to see a picture of Jordan D. White in the back, and I miss that guy. He had a great laugh, and he was fun to be around. And you know, I hope he's doing all
Justin,
right.
you're a big fan of Spider-Man's girlfriend Shay. What did you think about the thing where she briefly met him in Times Square? And just to remind you, she's a nurse. That's one of her main characteristics. She was like, "Yeah, man."
One of her main characteristics.
Right. One of her other main
also-
characteristics is sometimes she's in Times Square, and she is talking to Spider-Man, and he's like, "How do you keep going when you deal with sadness?" And she's like, "Yeah, man, I deal with that all the time with my patients. Here's how I work through it." Anyway, see you later.
Yeah.
And,
I'm
like-
going to say their relationship doesn't feel super strong.
Really?
It feels a little bit.
Really? Okay.
He's out here getting pick-me-up kisses, a Pete LePage term from Black Cat on the side of a building. So, like, I don't know. I think are we out of the Shay era already? The Shay
I think we
eon?
moved from the Shay era to City Field, if you ask me.
Yeah, good. That's a New York centric reference.
Yeah, that's
Pete
very
will
fun.
explain it to you off camera.
What I was going to
Shea
say,
Stadium to City Field is what the Mets.
Oh, did you read about that in one of your...
I lived in the city for 22 years, you piece of shit.
he lived in Shea Stadium. He was the ball boy.
It was
Or
Mr.
bad
Met.
boy. Yeah. Oh man, what a dream job for Pete. What I was going to say about this comic is I think it's highlighting that Peter Parker's actual superpowers, his humanity, which they touch on a bunch of times. That's a really cool idea. And like you were saying, the kiss with Black Cat was very sweet and sort of saying, like, you have to live for the moments. You can't be thinking about death all the time. And it's just sad to see Peter Parker have fallen this far, but I think it makes for a better story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
To
I
shout
think-
out something from David Lynch, who passed away. Look for the donut, not the hole.
Oh, deep, bro. Yeah, I do
Shouts.
like to see, you know, Peter go through ups and downs. It's hard to see him when he's down. It's hard to watch, and I think it, you know, makes for interesting stories. But yeah, I just can't believe I'm the only guy in this whole podcast who misses Jordan D. White. I think it's a little weird.
No, it just feels like not a part of this comic book.
It's in the
But I also
issue.
miss it.
It's in this issue, man.
Yeah.
The letters.
We don't review the staples.
Maybe we should.
You're right.
Wow, nice.
Somebody physically puts them in every issue.
That's right.
Wither the stapler. Who's wielding?
Stapletron 5000.
Next week, I didn't put it down the credits this week, but next week I'll start reading the credits for Stapler. Not letterer or colorist, because fuck those guys. But
that's my Stapler.
100%. Detective Comics 1093 from DC Comics, written
cool
by
cover.
Tom Taylor, art by Mikel Janin. In this issue, Batman continues to try to figure out who is killing the at-risk youth of Gotham City. He's teaming up with the Bat family to find out. Meanwhile, somebody who looks exactly like that is giving him baby blood, and he can't put two and two together. No, I don't know.
Yeah,
we talked about this in the last issue, and I'm still like, I should not be ahead of Batman on this mystery. That's all.
Yeah, he's got a blind spot for, everyone's got a little blind spot when you're juicing on the side with your girlfriend. He's not able to put it together. We've all been there.
This is fun, the twists and turns of it. Fun kind of last page villain reveal action. I also really like the part where Batman wasn't taking shit from that dude and called him a small man, even though he was a lot bigger than Batman. That was pretty badass.
And sorry, I just want to disagree. I think this is a bad cover because on the cover we have Batman and this new villain are covered in fire, and that doesn't happen in the book, so bad cover.
Also, too soon, DC. You know what I mean? Fire on the cover. I mean, come on.
Oh, my God. Justin, what did you think about this real quick?
I think Tom Taylor is great.
Make it quick, Justin.
We gotta hurry. The montage of the different Bat family members we get at the top is just really well paced and covers a lot of ground really quickly. The art's excellent. It just feels like Tom Taylor continues to be at the top of his game, and I'm happy that it's pushing the story. Like, I like this new villain, like you were saying.
This is one Taylor that can weave any story. Moving on to the Patchwork Girl of Oz, #1 from Image Comics by Otis Frampton. This is an adaptation of the book of the title from this lauded cartoonist. What you guys think?
First off, fantastic cover. Really sets the vibe for what you're about to get into.
I thought this was bad because the Patchwork Girl of Oz is on the cover and she's not in it and there's not a cat on her.
But the hat dude is there, so what the fuck?
Yeah, but again, like with the Terminator cover, it needs to be exactly what you see on the cover in the book. You can't take any artistic license whatsoever.
Well, it seems like you're a little bit of a weird, holding on to a lot there.
I am.
I thought the Patchwork Girl was a submarine in this. Is that not
weird
the case?
Anyways, really, the real review of this is great. It's a lot of fun. Love the maps. Love the adventure. Going to Munchkinland. This is all just good times and great story. And I'm looking forward to reading more of this.
I do find it strange that we don't get the titular character even mentioned in this first issue. But because I was like, where is she?
Building up to him.
Which one of them is the Patchwork Girl?
That's sort of what I thought, but I was like,
no, 100%.
I don't think any of them so far. But
it's
seems
charming.
like a fun world. Yeah.
I'd love to find out more about this Oz place. Lawful, #7 for Boom Studios, written by Greg Pak, art by Diego Galindo. We are in the penultimate issue of the series, I believe, as our main character is finding out some essential truths about the world, dealing with the witch who put a curse on them that may not, in fact, be a curse.
Maybe not a curse.
Hey, yeah.
But I mentioned this on the live show, but I
curse.
continue to be really impressed with this book in terms of how Greg is dealing with what makes somebody good and what makes us strive to be good. Is it society? Is it something inside of us? Is it something outside of us? That's what he's exploring here through this big fantasy premise. And it's even 7 issues in, it continues to really drive that home in a very nice way.
Yeah, I've also been enjoying this. This issue had such last issue energy. I was surprised when we got to the end, and there's a whole other issue. But that's not a knock, because this issue is action packed, great battle and confrontation sequence, a lot of great back and forth. There's big ideas in this book that are on display alongside all of this great action. Really excited to see what the next issue is where it's going to take us.
Yeah, first off, that Greg Pak guy, I mean, holy crap, that guy can write a story. Yeah, and it's also a fun moment where it's like, why are you looking at this as a curse? You know what I mean? Like, you got monster powers, bro. How many people would kill to have wings and be able to fly around? You know what I mean? Like, why is that a curse and shit? Great ideas, amazing action, fantastic art. Why wouldn't you be reading this book? You know what I mean?
Let's move on. Talk about Doctor Doom and Rocket Raccoon, #1 from Marvel, written by J. Michael Straczynski, art by Will Robeson. This is a first in a series of one-shots that JMS is doing with what he considers weird team-ups. Here, Doctor Doom is trying to solve a problem, and only Rocket Raccoon can help him build his machine. You guys were both laughing, having a good time there. So what do you think?
I mean, I was like... J. Michael Straczynski doing these characters, I was like, this is such a strange idea. And then I enjoyed this. The tone is very strange of this comic as well. It's like high philosophy, like Doom being Doom, but there's a lot of jokes in here. There's like a extended who's on first sequence in this book that I just was shocked by. While at the same time, Dr. Doom is investigating the meaning of life, and this is a very small spoiler, but the end reveal is that all of reality is built on Doctor Doom, essentially, which I thought was very strange. But there's a resonance there that I was surprised this book got there, given what it was.
Yeah, I think first off, silly title, rhyming, and I thought this is a kind of a weird, odd couple to put these two together. I don't know if I want to see them together.
Do you talk about Doctor Doom and Rocket Raccoon?
Yes. Yeah.
Rocket Raccoon.
Yeah, because if you wanted to rhyme, you have to say that. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. So I just think that I was surprised how much hanging out they were doing. You know what I mean? I was like, kind of pulled back a little bit by it. But you find out the answers to the universe, which is deep and always nice. I mean, now we don't have to go on like a kind of crazy adventure or climb the mountain to know the answer. It's given to you in this book. So why wouldn't you want to know the secrets to the universe? Buy this book and you'll know the answer.
There you go. Green Arrow, #20 from DC Comics, written by Chris Condon, art by Montos. Green Arrow continues to investigate the freshwater killer. Thought they caught her in the last issue, but maybe they didn't. Maybe he or she is still out there somewhere. I continue to really enjoy the tone that Chris Condon and Montos are bringing here. There's a very offhand nature to their Green Arrow that's very impressive, that builds up the tension until the end of the issue. There's some really good conversation stuff happening with Green Arrow and Black Canary here that is, I mean, it's not very delayed. I think they're only like 3 issues in, but it's nice to see them finally getting back to that as well. Justin, you're nodding your head yes. What did you think?
I also really like this. The way we're getting back to Green Arrow's protests, like going after corporation roots, I think is really smart. I like the way the villain or the threat is being identified here, and I think it's going to be a really interesting twist that we don't quite get in this issue. Getting next, I think the art is really nice, matches the tone of the writing in a great way. Really enjoying this, and I'm going to turn it over to Pete, who has a grudge against Green Arrow, but when he's presented with a good art and good writing in a comic, how could you hate it?
Yeah, well, so first off,
how could you hate it?
Well, first off, exciting news, because it seems like, and spoilers, I'm sorry if you didn't read this issue yet, but it seems like Ollie's about to get murdered, so I'm very excited for this to all go down, and hopefully by the next issue we won't have to deal with this dude anymore, which would be great news. But awesome art.
I do have one bone to pick with the issue.
Oh, sure.
There's a sequence where Ollie is on the phone with Black Canary, and she's fighting. He's like having coffee, and she's in the middle of a fight. She's about to do her textbook scream.
Yep.
And she says, mute the phone for a second, and he presses mute, but that wouldn't mute her. That would only mute him. Right?
Yeah, I mean, technically you're correct.
Oh, yeah.
So that's not how phones work. And I was really surprised by that.
Maybe
Well,
it
I
goes with
thought
the
she was
DC
talking to
universe.
Suri. I mean, she was like, "Hey, mute the phone, Suri." You know what I mean? So that way she muted on
Would be
her
pretty funny if he was like, okay, mute, and then starts bleeding on his
Well, then she can't hear him talk.
Yeah.
Classic mute. But for
Great
someone
catch, Justin.
hey, I ride the mute button in every aspect of my life. So, I know how it works. But I thought that was very fun.
And famously, Bob Uecker did the same. Rest in peace.
Great. Thanks for bringing that up. Deadly Tales of the Gunslinger Spawn, #2 from Image Comics, written by Jimmy Palmiotti, art by Patrick Reynolds. We're continuing to explore the origin of the man with the tall hat as he rolls into town and fights some supernatural baddies. Yeah, like with the first issue, this brings on some gross supernatural horror stuff in a Western setting, which is perfect for this creative team.
Well said.
I really like the art of this book. I like all of it except for when he puts the hat on. And then I'm like, that's dumb. And that's a lot. He does put the hat on a lot.
You
but
know
there's a lot of good
that's
stuff.
a part, of like the Wild West is you got to have kind of like a cowboy hat. That's kind of like a
Yeah, it's a
thing.
weird hat. It's very
No, that hat is beyond cowboy. This isn't a cowboy hat. That's
Yeah,
like
but it's a Spawn version of a cowboy hat.
It's like if Abraham Lincoln's hat.
Hey, Justin, if someone said, "Hey, your hat's dumb," you know what I mean? You got to stop wearing it. You'd be like, "No, this hat is something that I wear. I feel comfortable in. This is a part of me. This is my look." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So don't come at the gunslinger like that. He likes that. He's gonna rock it.
for a man who takes himself very seriously, it's a very goofy hat to wear. But he also walked around the hot, dusty West in spandex, so that's weird too.
Yeah. So
I just wonder what
Some
led
people
to the
suffer for their
decision
fashion.
there from Todd McFarlane, because I feel like it's such an obvious thing for him to just give him like a classic cowboy hat. So it's a very
but it doesn't
purposeful decision
feel
to be like,
Spawn.
nope.
That black hat feels like a old-timey Spawn Western look. I feel like
Did he maybe get hit on the head with like an anvil, and the hat is like
there it
whoop,
is.
sticking up really high?
classic Looney Tunes. Yeah, I think this is fun. That Jimmy Palmiotti guy is a great writer. He's got a fun sense of humor. So this kind of, goes into this, lack of a better word, whorehouse. And then the reveal at the end is fun. So I think that's exciting for what's
Bordello, Pete.
Yeah,
That's what they call it at the end. Yes.
Yeah, and so then the reveal is they're all vampires and they're going to attack him. So hopefully he can make it out of there alive.
Fun from dusk till dawn issue coming up next.
Oh yeah, there we go.
There you go. Let's move to another fun book, The Toxic Avenger, #4 from Ahoy Comics, written by Matt Boris, art by Fred Harper. In this issue, The Toxic Avenger has met his match in the form of another Toxie in town as the
Bully.
A bully. I continue to really enjoy this book. I think it's satirical in the way that Ahoy Comics does so well. The art is great. I like the fact that they've got some really gross visuals in here that straddle the line between gross and endearing, particularly for Toxie in specific. So I'm having a good time.
Yeah, agree. The art really fits this book in the horror / comedy. It really matches the original movies as well in a way. So that's really fun and hard to pull off.
Yeah, I'm impressed with what the harpsichord is doing here artistically. It's a kind of a fun take
Fred
on
Harper.
Yeah, Fred Harper, the harpsichord. We all know that.
Yeah.
I just feel that it adds a lightness, a funniness to this in the art, which I think is great for the humor of this book. Sometimes if you go too gross with the character, you lose some of the kind of fun B-movie kind of vibe that it has. And I think this does a great job of kind of like the artistic style capturing some of the lightness and the humor to it to really kind of give it a nice vibe. And also fun line, kill them bug-eyed bitches. I mean, that's just fun stuff.
Yeah.
If I may summarize, the harpsichord is super tight nanners. That's Wahapis.
Oh, nice. Well done.
Wolverine
Wait,
Revenge, #4 from Marvel, written by Jonathan Hickman, art by Greg Capullo. And I have a bone to pick with you guys because in the first issue I was like, hey, this is kind of like Jonathan Hickman and Greg Capullo doing their own riff on Old Man Logan. You guys were like, absolutely not. What are you talking about?
Dumb.
Stupid.
Idea.
You stupid idiot. Get out of here. Never
Alex, pull the blanket off your lap and over your head and go to bed because you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And then here we are in the 4th issue with a old bearded Logan who's straight up doing an Old Man Logan to the point that everybody's kids are getting involved. So I guess my review of this book was I was right.
No, you're not. This is an Old Man
Put
Logan.
that on the cover. Put that on the cover editorial.
I guess I'll go first, but yeah, this is not Old Man
I have
Logan.
nothing else to say.
Okay, I don't think this is Old Man Logan. It's an old Logan, but...
Oh, so he's not a man?
Oh, wow. This isn't the same story. It just happens to be also include an older Logan. But yeah, I think Greg does an amazing job in the art, and every time he's on Wolverine, I am showing up for it. And I'm going to ignore my note that says comparing it to Old Man Logan here, which I'm just now realizing.
Oh, man, what a win for Alex.
But the Sabretooth stuff is fun, and,
Did your Old Man Logan do this, Alex?
Yeah.
Barf all over the place, probably. Yeah. I can see that.
Barforama. He must have had too many jalapenos.
Mm-hmm. Yep, Wolverine, big barfs. I mean, this is fun. It is just from a Jonathan Hickman, it just doesn't feel like a Jonathan Hickman story, but it feels like a good story. Just like Wolverine, it's close to Old Man Logan, but it's Wolverine trying to rebuild society, wearing Western clothes for some reason, and barfs.
When you're walking the earth.
Normal-sized hat.
Yeah.
When you're walking the earth, you need some hat. Some protection from the sun.
You need some hat.
Yeah.
You need a hat.
I also think it's fun.
Hey, mister, I want a hat. You have a hat? I need a hat. I'm walking Earth. I want a hat.
You guys watched it on HBO. When is The Hats of Us coming back? That's one of my favorite shows.
Oh, yeah.
Hat too big. Gunslinger spawn. No. I want a hat.
Anyway, the fun Creed stuff in the Professor X floating kind of wheelchair situation there.
It is a weird thing that's happening, but we're Wolverine. This is one of the few issues of Wolverine Revenge when he's not getting revenge. But I think he's going to get a lot of revenge.
Buddy. Yeah, it's going to be coming up.
Well, some other people are trying to get revenge on him, so we'll see what happens with that final revenge of the last issue. Justice League Unlimited #3 from DC Comics, written by Mark Waid, art by Dan Mora. In this issue, the Rainforests are under attack by new villain organization Inferno. Finding out a little bit more about that, as well as looping back to the Airwave storyline. Last we left that in issue 1. Airwave said, I'm going to kill the Justice League, which he has not done as of yet, but I guess we'll see what happens. And this ends on a very big, shocking moment. So I like the big swings this title is taking so far.
Agreed. And I just think there's no one else who could write this comic besides Mark Waid. Like, where there's just so much happening. There's so many. It feels like if you want Justice League Unlimited, you need this much action packed into it. And Mark Waid is crushing that. So really fun stuff. The art's great as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be the guy to spoil it, but yeah, that's a real oh shit moment there at the end. So this is making fun choices and fantastic art. It's got a great feel and vibe to it. So this is very enjoyable.
Do you think Aquaman likes being in the swamp? Because technically it's water, but it's like...
I don't know if likes is the right word, but I
think he just likes being included, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And it's, even if it's like ankle high water, he's like, this is my domain.
This counts.
This
counts.
There's fish somewhere. It's always fish o'clock somewhere, says Aquaman.
Can he talk to frogs? Can he talk to frogs? Because they're amphibious.
Yeah, tadpoles, but as soon as they grow up, they can't talk.
He's like, loses touch with them? That's sad.
Yeah.
It's really
World Trade.
And Alex, I feel like you want to move on. but I have more questions about this Aquaman stuff.
World Tree number 12 from Image Comics, written by James Tynion IV, art by Fernando Blanco. Throughout the series, we've been following a naked lady who murders people because the internet told her to do so. In this issue, we are flashing back. So if you have ever wondered how ladies become naked, you're going to find out in the next couple of issues. That's all I got.
This issue is so good. It's great. This book we've had a bit of a gap here for the past couple months, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So it was great to see it back in the stack this week. And, scary, it really, this issue really crystallizes the internet is bad for certain reasons. And this issue is putting that out there in a great way through the eyes of this teenager.
Yeah, this one girl doesn't really know what's going on, and then it's like, whatever you do, don't go to the internet. And then, of course, she does. But, oh, man, yeah, will she ever be the same again?
Well, in all seriousness, bouncing off what you were saying, Justin, there's a lot of complicated stuff going on in this book, but this simplified it down to a place where I really understood the emotional thrust of where they were coming from, because I'm sure you guys remember too, but when the internet was first popping up, I very clearly remember my brother and I playing around on it at like CompuServe or something, and my mom coming in and be like, "You can't go on there. It's too dangerous to go on there." And we're like, "Okay, I think we're going to be fine. Don't worry about it." And we were, except for my brother who was kidnapped. But it
was the classic get in the van.
That sounds vaguely real, so don't know.
No, he wasn't.
It'd be hard to kidnap someone over the internet, I think.
Yes, exactly. That's what she was worried about happening, though. But I think this is going back to that fear of the beginning of the internet, and I appreciate that in terms of laying that out there, so when we get back to the main present timeline of the title, or jumping ahead, we'll have more of that emotional grounding.
Yeah, I mean, the internet is scary. There's no question about it. But yeah, I mean,
I have horrible news for both of you. We're on it right now.
What?
Teenage Mutant Ninja. Have you seen my brother? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Night Watcher number 5 from IDW, written by Judy Ba, art by Pharaoh Pei. In this issue, Jennica is taking on a giant bear man. Bear man. And we finally get back to what is going on with her armor in a really kind of terrifying way.
Cool way.
Yeah. That is very effective. I really like the series a lot. I like the issue by issue approach that Judy Ba is taking here. Good stuff.
Yeah, Jennica's one of my favorite turtles. So I'm on board for this. And the armor stuff is strange, but this issue especially really popped.
Yeah, this is a blast. There's some kind of real sad moments, but I love the intense story. I love what's going on, and the kind of power reveal that the Night Watcher it's really impressive. And I thought she was in trouble with that giant bear, man.
Uncanny X-Men number 9 from Marvel, written by Gail Simone, art by Andre Bresson. In this issue, after the end of the crossover, the kids, the outliers that the X-Men are taking care of, get sent to a mall date by Jubilee, and it goes kind of horribly wrong when new dog sentinels attack them, leading to a tragedy at the end. Justin, like we were talking about on the live show, you've been back and forth about this title. Do you think things got back on track in this one, or are they even further off track?
Well, I'll tell you what, I had talked about in the first couple issues this being like the heart and soul of the X-Men with Rogue, Gambit, where we were sitting in the characters and letting them be a team, be friends, be lovers in the case of Rogue and Gambit. Really love that. Now it's shifted to almost the vibe of X-Men 92, an X-Men 92 animated episode where it's the characters are doing stuff. We're not
Let's
really
go to the mall.
There's not as much interiority as it used to be. It feels like, hey, we're gonna go do this thing, and then here's the bad guys coming, and bad stuff's about to happen. So it just feels like it's gotten a little bit thinner. It's not to say that all that work that came in the first couple issues isn't still there. It's just doing something else now. It's a little more popcorny.
Yeah, don't be stressed. And we got the Bresson on this, and the art is fantastic. And, you know, it's the classic X-Men go to the mall, and it's never a good idea, which is sad because malls are great. But
wow, pro mall, strong
pro
stance
mall.
in this year.
Yeah,
not
old guy taking
much.
it's a place to speed walk. You know what I mean?
You know where else you can do that? Literally anywhere.
Yeah, I'm just anyways.
Anywhere.
Yeah, but those evil robot dogs are scary. But yeah, I'm enjoying this, so I'm gonna keep checking it out.
Little Batman, month 1, number 3 from DC Comics, written by Morgan Evans, art by John McKell. We are continuing the story spinning out of the Prime Video animated movie with Damian trying to rescue Bruce Wayne before Scarecrow does something very bad, even though Bruce Wayne, of course, is pretty much fine. I really love this book. The art in particular is absolutely adorable throughout. This is just a great, he's a tiny little speck of Damian Wayne, little Batman. It's very cute. And the story is adorable too. I love the scene with the Joker is really good. All the stuff that's going on with Bruce Wayne being captured by Scarecrow is great. I'm just having a very good time.
Yes, I agree. It's very fun. The two things I'll shout out, the full splash page of Damien sketching on the back of a taxi of the skateboard is so good. That's definitely frameable. And then my other favorite thing is Alfred's withered hot dog nose. He's got just a long, wrinkly hot dog nose. You. The kind of thing that
Justin, when you get
gas
old,
station.
When you get old and get a hot dog nose, dude, we're going to be laughing at you, bro.
I think it's fun. I'm highlighting it. I can't wait till I get a hot dog nose.
Yeah, I agree with you. The art is absolutely fantastic. Brings you into this world so nicely. It's a blast. And also just the fun that this book is having. You know, I love the part where the villains are like, how could Batman just disappear? Doesn't he care? Just hysterical. Just absolutely hysterical. They've captured Bruce Wayne. They're upset that Batman hasn't showed up yet. That's just fun. They're just having a blast.
Fantastic Four, number 28 from Marvel, written by Ryan North, art by Stephen Cummings. In this issue, Reed is trying to grapple with the fact that something is going on with Dr. Doom, and he just can't wrap his brain around magic. So Sue suggests they go to the Black Knight to figure it out, leading to some twists and turns and surprises. Now, I do want to talk about this issue, but I do also want to bring up there was a discussion going on, not in our Patreon Slack, because we're not on Slack anymore, but our Patreon Discord. We're on Discord now. It's true, Pete.
Join us, Pete.
But there was a great discussion going on about Fantastic Four, with some people saying they really love this series, other people saying it leaves them feeling cold. So I was curious, using this issue as an example, since I think all three of us like it, what is working for you about this series? Just to try to potentially sell it to people who it is not working for.
Yeah. I mean, the stuff that's working for this issue is actually sort of a bad example of that, because we're setting up for the new One World Under Doom. So it does feel like this book has to work in a certain direction. Every other issue leading up to this basically has been just a great standalone story, often featuring 2 or 3 of the different Fantastic Four members, doing really interesting, actually based in science, real science stuff that I thought was just, again, another a writing challenge to weave that into a story. And it's been great. This issue is good, I think, too. The Doom and the Black Knight of it, he was behaving so strangely throughout this whole issue.
Yeah.
The thing that is funny to me is in the Ultimate Universe, we have Reed Richards is hidden behind a dome, an energy dome, doing something fucked up, being Doom, essentially. Now, in the regular Marvel Universe, Doom's been hiding behind a dome, doing a bunch of stuff, and I'm like, what? That's very strange that that's happening at the same time.
Yeah. So, I just want to say it's a fantastic cover, but this...
I just want to say it's a Fantastic Four. End of review.
Oh, great. But this is what drives me nuts about the Fantastic Four, is that Reed Richards is supposed to be so smart, but, this is your first time? When you know somebody and they're acting weird, have some fucking common sense, bro. It just... sometimes when there are smart people doing dumb things, it drives me nuts. And I know that there's different kinds of smarts. There's street smarts and there's other kinds of things. But supposedly you've been on a lot of adventures. And it just is a little bit like, come on, bro. But other than that, I like the swings that it's taking. But they are kind of pulling a Samurai Jack in this, where it's like, they get thrown into a world where Doom is now the kind of ruler. Whatevs. Fantastic Four has never kind of been my favorite, so continues to not be my favorite.
Okay, so all right, maybe my premise in terms of saying we all like this was a little flawed. I'll talk about it though.
Yeah.
I really like this issue. I did like the twists and turns here. I do think Reed being out of his element with magic and eventually reaching a sort of emotional catharsis there was nicely done. It also, as a prelude to One World Under Doom, really doubled down on the danger inherent there in a way that I have not been getting from any of the other titles that Doom has been showing up in. So I thought that was nicely done. Generally speaking about this book, I would imagine, without looking back at that conversation in the Discord, but I would imagine that part of it is that this is not like everything you know is about to change about the Fantastic Four. This is the most important thing you ever read about the Fantastic Four. Instead, it's using them as a ongoing cast for an anthology book that is more Amazing Stories style, or sometimes Twilight Zone, Outer Limits, etc. And they are the constant characters who show up in this thing. And I love that. Reason I love that is it feels unlike anything else, particularly coming out from Marvel, but also just comics in general, where the push is always setting up One World Under Doom or the next big event or going forward to that, versus just what is a good story with these characters that we know very well. And, we could play off of their emotional strengths and weaknesses in a certain way without, breaking them, without being like one of them is going to die, etc.
Yeah.
When we're getting there in this event, that's going to happen. You're going to get that if that's what you're missing. But so far we've had about 27 issues of just done in one or done in two adventures that present a premise, present the Fantastic Four, who we know, and then have them get out of the situation in a fun way or a sad way.
One thing I wanted to highlight, I think that's all spot on, but it's funny to me in this issue and in the Rocket, Raccoon, and Dr. Doom, Raccoon and Dr. Doom, that Doom is just magic guy now. He's just great at magic. And I was
Sorcerer Supreme, dude. He's going to be a little magic up.
Yeah, but Dr. Doom's whole thing was, I'm good at science. And in the Rocket book, Rocket Raccoon is like, your science sucks. And I guess... and it's just funny to me that Dr. Doom is like killer at magic, best magician in the world, right up there with Doctor Strange. Now he's sort of bad at science, but it doesn't matter because he just is good at spells. It's weird.
I'm just saying, if you become Sorcerer Supreme, you're going to try to lean into the magic. You're going to try to, bone up on the old spellies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the old spellies. Two thoughts in opposite directions there. One, I don't remember where it started, but the Doctor Doom as both science and magic guy has been going on for decades now, I think. Once they decided, wait a second, we should connect him back to his roots with his mother, versus just have him be like anti-Reed Richards.
Was that a Hickman thing?
I want to say it was, but it feels like it might have even been before that. I'm not sure.
Because I remember it being like, he was like, how can I beat Reed Richards? I can't beat him at science. I'm going to turn to magic. And that was a cool idea because it felt like he was betraying his science because he failed too much. Cool.
It feels like a villain move. I like it.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. Just having him as the magic guy doesn't necessarily work for me. The other thing that I wanted to say, not apropos of this issue, but Doctor Strange shows up several times in the issues of the stack. And every time he's always like, well, I'm not Sorcerer Supreme anymore. However, I can do literally the same things that I did before.
Yeah, I don't get the Doctor Strange positioning. I mean, it feels like everyone because he's not a main character. Like he's in the SpiderMan book, he's around. He's just doing his normal stuff, But I think continuity-wise, he has to be like, but it's really hard for me to astral project because, I'm not Sorcerer Supreme anymore. It's requiring.
I can do all of these spells, but it's hard.
But when you're known for something for so long and then it's taken away from you, you're going to bring it up. You know what I mean?
The other thing, I thought Sorcerer Supreme was more like a title that you were just like, hey, congrats, you won. You're pretty good. You're the best.
It's like a black belt.
Yeah. But it's not, it seems like now it's like there's a lot of power associated with it. And I never considered it that way. Mm-hmm. It was much more like Doctor Strange is so good at magic.
You get your magic amped up, dude. You know what I mean? Plus you get the eye of.
Based on what? The Eye of Agamotto?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think if anything, there's the whole thing that Doom talks about in this issue where like now he's basically like the king of magic, right? So he has all of these conversations that he's having with otherworldly beings and he has access to other knowledge going on there. I guess that's what they're riffing off of, but they're definitely playing it as a power thing. And I agree with you. That was not my impression at any point.
And let me also say about magic, isn't it just saying the words? Like,
how dare you?
What skill did Doctor Strange lose? He's not. God, he lost. Dude. He can't roll his R's.
That's just ridiculous. It's a ridiculous statement.
Okay, I guess magic's different.
Pete is pro Doctor Strange or anti? I honestly can't tell.
Come on, man. Doctor Strange always talks about how much it takes to do magic and how much it takes out of him.
There's a price to be paid.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So you saying that just like all of a sudden you forgot all the comics that you've read before this conversation?
You can still say
it. It's the first comic I ever read.
Yeah. Congratulations! Welcome to the world.
What a way to start. It can still be hard, but like it's still just like tiring, right?
You know what's not hard or tiring is Hyde Street.
Oh, Pete's done. Wow. Hyde Street number 3 from Ghost Machine and Image Comics, written by Jeff Johns, art by Ivan Rice. In this issue, Pranky is really trying to teach Mr. X-Ray a lesson about how to claim souls on Hyde Street, thanks to a vicious Santa Claus.
Evil Santa Claus.
Evil Santa Claus. Not a real evil Santa Claus, but a robber who dresses up as Santa Claus.
Yeah, fake Santa Claus.
Fake Santa
Climbs
Claus.
down chimneys.
There you go. And by the end, we've been introduced to another denizen of Hyde Street. I think we've been pleasantly surprised by the series so far. Does it keep up that streak in issue number 3?
It's very funny to me how much this series is about these two soul monster people just bickering and being like after each other. I think it works. It makes it it felt like this was going to be a horror anthology. Like, look at this tale of this thing gone wrong, and getting revenge on them. And it adds a whole nother element of these guys being like, well, you know what? I'm going to go do this. It's sort of, it's funny and just not what I expected, but I am enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean, Pranky's keeping score, you know what I mean? And he's looking for souls, and he needs to get off Hyde Street. So he's got a plan, and I appreciate him sharing it with us. Yeah, this is fun. This is we continue to learn more about Hyde Street and more about these characters, and I like the stuff we get about Mr. X and kind of the letters page backup stuff. So that's awesome to kind of learn that stuff. But yeah, this is a crazy premise, really creative and fun. I love the setup of this. And then we just, we kind of now get the introduction of this game of like collecting souls, and we get this new character who kind of like turns somebody around, which I didn't think was possible on Hyde Street. I thought it was all bad and everybody was all gone, but turns out not the case, which is a nice fun twist. There's some hope. It's not all evil and monsters, so that's kind of cool. Yeah, I'm just artistically, creatively very impressed with this book and the story that it's telling.
Black Hammer, Spiral City number 3 from Dark Horse Comics, written by Jeff Lemire, art by Teddy Christensen. We're getting a number of stories going as usual for this title, including Inspector and Sector getting kicked out of him.
Oh, man.
Sorry, man.
Brutal.
And I'm forgetting the name of the big beefy guy who's now doing crime again.
Let's just call him Beef.
Beef. Yeah. I think his name is Meats and Potatoes.
Oh, boy. You sure it's not parsley?
There's a third story about a pop star who's run into some tough times. Justin, you shouted this one out on the live show. What'd you think about this issue?
I just love this world. Like, I think the fact Jeff Lemire just continues to commit to this. Jeff Lemire doing a lot of other work, but just you don't expect a sort of super team analog series to be this creative and this continually excellent, and I think this book is that.
Yeah, I mean, this, first off, like the start of this book is awesome. It's almost like a child's story gone wrong type of beginning, just artistically the way it starts, which is very interesting. But it's heartbreaking what happens in Inspector and Sector here. And then we get this kind of princess character, and I wrote down like a goon type character, but yeah, we can call him the Beef. So, yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, and I just think this is solid storytelling, amazing art, a little bit upsetting, but I'm still enjoying this and having a great time.
This issue in particular reminded me a lot of the Tom King book Danger Street, just in terms of talking about everybody about like princesses and kings and royalty. And like Pete was saying, the very storybook nature of it. But Teddy Christensen's art is entirely unlike, I think that was Jorge Fornes on that book. Really always a good time with the bold Black Hammer. Iron Man #4 from Marvel, written by Spencer Ackerman, art by Javier Pina. In this issue, Iron Man and Riri Williams are trying to figure out what is going on with his armor and what Ironmonger did to it. So they enlist the help of the Scarlet Witch.
What's she doing there?
I don't know.
Hey, she got a shout out for her new kind of gig. You know, that was fun.
Mm-hmm. You got to see Darcy. So
yeah.
You've got to be happy. You've
Yeah.
got to be.
I mean,
Hey, you's got to be happy about Darcy.
Hey, the cavalry shows up. I was losing my shit over the cavalry. This is a fun ish, man.
It's crazy in this year, 2025, this Iron Man comic is making a big deal of a character from the S.H.I.E.L.D. television show.
Hell yeah. Plus a lot of in and out jokes, which is great.
Yeah, you mean sex?
Jokes?
You mean
I don't
sex?
think they were jokes. They were just talking about how In and Out was good.
Yeah.
In and Out, the hamburger joint.
Yeah, they did the wild style bit. I thought that was funny.
I call sex In and Out.
Oh, okay. And you do an animal. You have to ask animal style because
Only in certain
Special
states.
menu, yeah.
Only in certain
Yeah,
states.
Special menu item.
But this is it. The cavalry. I don't know.
So many
The whole
questions
thing.
asked, but I'm not going to.
You save him. Write me a letter, a handwritten letter, please.
Okay.
The cavalry of it all. Like, I don't know if this reminds me of Void Rivals, and they're like, look, another Transformer. I'm like, look, a character that you don't know really. And I'm like, okay,
Come on, you don't know the cavalry?
she
Come on.
has been in the past couple of issues, but they do end with a character where I was like, huh? I don't know who this is. And on the last page.
Oh, come
Yes.
on.
Oh, you
Oh,
mean
you know-
Lucia von Bardus?
Yeah.
Three question marks when she
Yeah.
steps out.
Yeah. Sorry, I do not.
No.
Yeah, and I don't know. I just loved the previous run and all the White Queen stuff. So this
you did.
doesn't have its footing yet for me.
I agree. Metamorpho.
I
the
disagree.
element-
I think
oh,
it's doing some fun things. And, just because it doesn't have the White Queen doesn't mean it's not enjoyable.
Name one fun thing it's doing.
The cavalry is fun.
Got ya.
Metamorpho, the Element Man #2 from DC Comics, written by Al Ewing, art by Steve Lieber. In this issue, Metamorpho and Sapphire Stag reach a critical breaking point in their
boy.
relationship due to her machinations involving a rival singer who turns out to be a robot. This feels very Madman, the Mike Allred title to me.
Madman.
Yeah,
I thought you were talking about Mad Men.
no,
Yeah.
not Mad Men, Madman, which I like. Period.
Yeah.
Thank you for the punctuation.
I
problem.
I thought the art was amazing. A lot of weird stuff going on here.
Yeah, I think the Madman comparison is apt. Like
I'm sorry, did you say Mad Men?
I said MedMen, the cannabis
right.
store in LA.
Smart. Smoke them if you got them.
Is apt and it is fun, and I like the problem solving, and the superhero arcs here are so much like, now we're going to turn into this dust, and we get a lot of talking about it, which is fun and it feels on brand for this.
Mystique, number 4 from Marvel by Declan Shalvey.
Cool
in this issue, Mystique and Nick Fury are growing ever closer as Mystique is on the hunt for destiny, and Nick Fury is trying to figure out what she wants, which I believe is destiny, but I guess we'll find out if there's something else there. Great action in this issue, great twists and turns as usual, and some, as always, excellent Declan Shalvey art.
Yeah, really like the Declan Shalvey art. Alex, you were really high on this.
Yes.
Are you still as high?
Yeah,
Oh,
are
I'm
you
high,
still
baby.
high?
I'm high.
How high are you?
I'm
You
like
coming down a
one
little
of those
bit?
guys that shops at Men. Is
Good.
that what you said? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, there we go. No, I think like the first issue was really strong. We're now at the point where I'm not screaming at this issue or anything like that. I'm not like, oh shit, here we go. But there's a great twist at the end. The action is still really clean and impressive. There's some brutal scenes with Mystique in here.
Yeah.
A lot of this now depends on how this all wraps up next issue in terms of what the revelations are and what the emotional places that we land for Mystique, because to crib from you, Justin, we're not in her head at all. We don't know what she's thinking or what she wants exactly. So,
Well, she seems to say a lot, I want destiny back.
right.
Yeah.
But there's
motivation.
probably
doesn't?
something else going on there. So curious to see where we land at the end of the series.
Well, it's interesting. I feel like I like her new power set less. Like, she's not doing any of her subterfuge. When this comic started, I thought it was going to be like very like spy noir, like you never know who's doing what and who's who. And instead,
Subterfuge.
this issue was just like a straight up battle. She's never in disguise. She's just running around using other superheroes, other mutants' powers when she can. Yeah, but it changes. The character's just completely different from what she used to be. And maybe that's the point. Maybe it is like this is a vengeance. She's on a scorched earth campaign. But I don't know. Not what I expected.
Yeah, I mean,
but
Mystique is tricky like that. You know what I mean? She's a lot of people, and so it's tough to kind of, this is definitely a Mystique.
she's a lot of people.
But to add, if you ask me the same question of how high I am, I'm not as high as I used to be. You know what I mean? I'm not ripping milky tubes or anything, but I do still think that this is fun. You know what I mean? This is still a fun comic, and like Alex said, I really agree that the twists and turns are enjoyable and it's amazing art. But things have calmed down a little bit in this ish, so I'm excited to see what's going to happen next. It'll probably get me back right up to being high
To the Milky Tube.
Yeah.
So on the scale, it's like Milky Tube's pretty high, and like the lower one to be
Dude,
like,
if you're fucking ripping milky tubes, bro, you're going to be high as fuck, bro.
Or are you talking about like a handmade apple bowl is like the lower end of the...
Yeah, dude, come on, dude. You can't rip a fucking...
You can't
bowl
rip
like a
out of that.
Yeah, I mean, a milky tube's a different, it's a completely different situation.
Yeah. Milky Tube.
Yeah, I'm not gonna ask. I know what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say
Justin's
it is.
like-
Pete's
I
saying
could probably
things.
figure it out. I could probably figure it out from context, I think.
Great. I think this is fun.
And you know what? I would say you should try, but I honestly don't know if you're going to land it. I don't know if you're going to land that plane.
So, no, I'm not
You-
gonna do it.
Yeah, good.
Why
I
don't
see
we
you
live
actually wanted to do
vicariously
it.
through each
do.
other in the next issue?
What?
Why don't we live vicariously through
Sorry,
each other?
your
in the
transition's
next
not working.
issue? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, from one character who turns into other people to another character who other people turn into, Vicarious. Number 4 from Boom Studios, written by Ryan Parrott, art by Eleonora Carlini. In this world, there are things called proxies where people can jump into other people's brains and kind of ride along as they go for paid experiences. Following one proxy who we finally find out the origin of in this issue, exactly what he did and how bad it was. And man, I love how dark this series is going. It definitely hinted at it in the first couple of issues, but they really take the lid off here and reveal everything, and it's great. It's very twisted and fun to read.
Twisted, the original Parrot head, Alex Albin, comes out backing his boy, Ryan Parrott. Yeah, this is fun, but
I'm ripping milky tubes all over the place.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's twisted.
It really
bro.
flows when you say it, Alex, too.
Thanks, man.
The way that this, I want this, I guess this is a me thing, I think, but we didn't really get to ever see much of the Vicarious stuff in action. It's been talking about it, but not doing it. And I guess I want more of that in this book. And I just don't, that's not what this book is about.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll get some of that more, but I can understand what you're saying that. I feel like this is a badass issue, though, you know. Kid stands up for himself here, tells his dad off, you know, which I'm sure you guys don't appreciate, but, you know, starts kicking butt. And, you know, I feel like this is great art, great story. Very much enjoying this issue.
Archie is Mr. Justice, number 2 from Archie Comics, written by Amanda Dybert, art by Brent Schoonover. This is a slightly more serious take on what if the Archie gang was superheroes. Here we're finding out about Veronica's origin as the Visionary. Justin, you're a big Archie guy. How'd you feel about this?
This is fun. I think we're taking it one step too far when Archie transforms from Archie to Super Archie, Mr. Justice, and there's no glasses. There's literally nothing. It's the same face, and he is rescuing Veronica, and she's like, "Oh, Mr. Justice, thank you." And I'm like, Archie was with you a second ago. How are you? What are we doing here?
So the changing of outfits is not as clear as glasses for you. You're like, listen, if we're going to have comic book standards, there's got to be at least glasses.
You got to make a change. You got to make a light change.
I'll say something positive that I liked about this issue. I thought they found a new fun riff on the classic Veronica, Archie, Betty dynamic through the lens of superheroes. I think that worked pretty well. I agree with you. It definitely stretches credulity in terms of what's going on here, but also, I don't know, it's Archie Comics, so I can give them a little bit of a slide.
Yeah, and I just have to say, I enjoyed this as well, and they are taking their time to really give good reasons for what's happening in this, and Veronica taking the stand that she takes in this issue, and I'm looking forward to the Betty side of things, which I believe is coming next issue.
Yeah, I agree with Zalbatron. This is fun, and, you know, it's fun kind of like to see, they have the secret identities, and they're keeping that from each other, and they're not going to work on a fun stuff. It's a great kind of twist on something we've seen a lot of different ways from Archie, so, yeah, I feel like this is a fun idea.
Would you call it a pretty decent backwoods blunt?
Oh, for sure, bro. For sure. No question.
No, never mind. Helverine, number 2 from Marvel, written by Benjamin Percy, art by Raphael Ienco. Dakin is still trying to figure out what he needs to do now that he's a Ghost Rider, and that includes fighting some hellacious baddies in Alaska, I guess. I don't know. It's up north somewhere. Pete, you have a question.
Yeah, I just feel like the title is very misleading because it's not Wolverine, it's Dakin. So this should be called "The Hell Is This?" Because it's just doesn't make any sense. Because even when this starts, we got Dakin who's like telling the story like he's Wolverine, and he's not.
Wait,
so
you think he's impersonating Wolverine?
No, but it's just it's just a little weird. Like, he's saying a lot of things that could be Wolverine, but I'm like, yo, bro, you didn't do that stuff like Wolverine did. You just like heard about it later.
He didn't say bub.
He didn't have to say bub.
What do you think about this comic book, though?
I do think, all that aside, you know, hell coming for mutants is a fun idea, interesting story. And the art is great. It just makes me weirded out that it's called Helverine and it's not Wolverine. So it's just kind of a weird, they're like,
I like that it's
sell
not
more comics if it's Helverine versus.
I like that it's different. It makes it's better if this is like a status quo thing. If the Ghost Rider's knocking, we're talking docking. Is what I always say, and that's what we get here. It's funny to me that the actual look of Helverine, the Wolverine head triangles are fire. I was like, you don't need to do that. That's not even a docket thing.
Well, but then he brushes them back and turns them back into his mohawk at one point. So that was pretty cool.
That was cool.
Yeah.
But I like this.
Gross visuals in this. Some gross demonic bone stuff. There you go.
Yeah.
Superman number 22 from DC Comics, written by Joshua Williamson, art by Dan Mora. In this issue, Superman and Superwoman are facing down a bunch of refugees who have been left from Doomsday's previous rampages, and all they want is Doomsday back. Superman doesn't trust them. He doesn't want to do it, leading to a big fight where Superman and Doomsday actually team up, and people are so surprised. They're like, Superman and Doomsday teaming up in the book, which was pretty funny.
Yeah, I feel like this is a crazy story that gets even crazier. That's fun. I mean, there's a lot going on. Jimmy, stay the fuck out of the way. I mean, how many times do we got to say it, for Christ's sakes? But yeah, damn great art and action. I mean, I want more of that art. You know what I mean?
I like the status quo here. The idea that Superman has to keep Doomsday alive to prevent the end of the universe is cool.
Twist.
Yeah, it's a twist, and I continue to really like the Clark Lois both being superpowered stuff. It's really working here, and I want more of it. And then Jimmy Silver Banshee stuff is even working, I think. It's all working.
It's all working. It's great. In Bloom, number 2 for Boom Studios, written by Michael W. Conrad, art by John J. Pearson. This takes place in a world where people have started to bloom, turn into plant people. Everybody loves it, except for one cop who does not love it. And we find out exactly why in this issue in the grossest, most horrific way possible.
Yeah, you want to talk about
that was
some
awesome.
Gross stuff and some body horror stuff. Holy crap, that Bloom was nuts.
This is like Hellraiser, but with plants.
I was like, I'm not going to be able to get that out of my head ever. Thanks a lot.
I loved it. It was my favorite. This is my favorite book that also rhymes with Rocket Raccoon. And that section,
Raccoon, because we're talking about
Bloom, Raccoon, Doom.
In Bloom, right here in the Doom room.
Hey, we're no longer in the Doom room, bro. You can't just say that. You can't just.
You can't break habits, though.
Yeah.
You can't break habits. This comic, that the sequence where we get the cop's wife's bloom is worth the price of admission for this. I thought it was good. The first page has a great bloom on it as well. This is, we know where this is going a bit. The one person who doesn't like it is probably going to be right at the end of the day. So I'm into the story, finding out how we get there.
Yeah, this is scary as shit, but also really impressive. But trigger warning on the body horror shit. You'll never get that out of your brain.
TVA number 2 for Marvel, written by Catherine Blair, art by Per Perez. This is continuing the integration of the TVA from Loki into the Marvel Comics. Spider-Gwen and a bunch of other folks are on a team together. In this issue, they go down to hell to try to investigate who is giving everybody nightmares. I gotta say, I don't mind this team, and I don't mind the action that's happening in the book. In particular,
what do you mind?
The layouts of hell are very nice. I don't understand why this is TVA stuff. Like, the TVA investigating nightmares and going to hell does not seem like the sort of thing that a multiverse time cop organization would be investigating.
Well, wait for it, because maybe there's something going on in hell that relates to the TVA, my friend.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you take the TVA out of it, I think, and this is like Exiles, but a little different, I think that works. It's working. I really like the art, and the design of the book really has taken from Loki like an aesthetic, and that's really cool. A lot of the panels are framed very differently from a lot of other comics. The color palette is really nice and like the Loki TV show. So I am enjoying this.
Yeah, P Squared's doing an amazing job on the art. There's this one panel where Owen Wilson is just kind of like leaning back, like checking out someone in the corner. And it's so artistically done in such a cool way that's hard to do in still images, So I was really impressed with the kind of like having a movement and, drawing your eye in kind of a interesting way. So, yeah, artistically, what's happening here is impressive. I hear what the Zelbatron is saying, like, why is this a TVA story? But I feel like we're still in issue 2, so there could be some other answers coming. But also that one pager with Miss Minutes is, is worth the price of admission right there. That continues to be such a weird, fun, creative thing that's a joy at the end of every ish.
Star Trek number 28 from IDW, written by Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly, art by Tess Fowler. Lore has destroyed the entire universe except somehow Bajor back in time, where Cisco is still alive and still... Yeah, there you go. I have nothing else to say. You stole my joke.
I'm sorry.
Wow, really?
It's okay. I was going to make a thong song joke.
You two are best friends.
Peas in a pot. We're like meats and potatoes.
Yeah, you are. Man.
Anyway, Cisco is around and somehow functionally immortal at this point, so slowly goes about shaping the destiny of Bajor. This is... I think this is awesome. Particularly Tess Fowler on the art here makes a very different look and feel for the previous issues. I don't know where this story is going or how we're going to get back to the lore stuff, but it's fascinating.
Yeah, it's so far, the swerve is far from the normal. I really liked where the last issue ended, and I was very surprised that this is where we go with it. But this has echoes of the everyone's favorite Star Trek The Next Generation episode where Picard plays a flute and lives a life on another planet. So that's cool.
Yeah, I agree. T. Fowles is killing it on the art. And if you like Star Trek, I think you'll enjoy this. They're making a lot of fun choices. And, it's interesting.
Last but not least, Power Rangers Prime, number 3 from Boom Studios, written by Melissa Flores, art by Michael Igg. This takes place in the future where there's no Power Rangers, or are there? Because I know, because Rita Repulsa is taking on a bunch of scrappy kids who all dress in very different colored clothing, some yellow, some pink, etc., etc.
No reason.
And for no reason.
No
don't
reason.
look
People
into
just
it
like different colors. People like
exactly.
Colors,
exactly.
Some people color
and
palettes.
meanwhile, there is a Power Rangers coin that has been broken apart that they're all going after in a museum, leading to, well, something happens at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Ruin it. What do you guys think about this?
Well, first
it's
off,
morphin time.
Oh, all right.
Morphine time?
It's morphine time. I'm in pain, guys.
You gotta.
It's morphine time.
Well, it's great. I mean,
take
it's
a milky tube rip of that morphine.
Nice. That would be dangerous.
Yeah, don't recommend that. I just think that, they're trying to make museums fun again, and they really achieved that in this issue. You know what I mean? Tell kids that there's hidden treasures in museums, and maybe they'll show up, But I really liked I felt like it was a badass reveal at the end, and they set it up well, and they really delivered. And so that was nice. I think the art's great, and I'm a sucker for some Power Rangers.
That's true. Pete is a sucker for some Power Rangers. Give me the Mystic Knights of Tir na Nog all day, every day. Those are give me the prime Mystic Knights of Tir na Nog. That's the comic I want.
Great bar, Tir na Nog.
Nice. Look, we're still talking, and we're making even more sense than we have all night. But the art is very good in this. I am surprised.
Don't give away the ending.
I'm surprised it's don't give it away. Surprised it's taken this long for the thing that happens at the end of the issue to happen.
Everybody dies. And that is it for the stack. If you'd like to support the show and all the shows we do, patreon.com/Comic Book Club. Also, we do a live show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. to Facebook and YouTube. Come hang out. We would love to chat with you about comic books, Apple, Spotify, Android, or the app of your choice. To subscribe, listen, and follow the show at Comic Book Club on Blue Sky, Comic Book Club Live on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, comicbookclublive.com. For this podcast, many more. Until next time, we'll see you at the Comic Book Club.
May your submarines be faced and your tubes remain milky.
Yeah.
All right, so when you're sucking on a big bog...
Oh God! You've cut the feed. It's over. Sucking?
Sucking on a big ball.
Sucking.
Oh,
He sucked the milk right out of that tube.